Offensive line coach Bobby Johnson fired. Hurrah. Special teams coach Thomas McGahee fired. Hurrah. And then, so we were like, cool. That makes sense. We were hoping for that, and we got it. So that's good. But then the Wilkins brothers were fired. One's a linebackers coach. The other one's some kind of defensive coach. And that, according to some people, was the reason why Wink Martindale resigned. So in the morning press conference with Dable and Shane, they say, we expect to have him back. And then Wink resigns after finding out that his boys, the Wilkins bros, were fired. So that's tough because there's a large portion. I mean, there are very few Giants fans, I think, that did not like Wink Martindale or did not like what he was able to do with the defense. I personally just liked his aggressive scheming, that he was able to thoroughly confuse and befuddle people with the amount of looks that he gave opposing quarterbacks. And then just the sheer insanity of his blitz rate. I fucking love that. After having so many seasons of Patrick Graham and like other defenses where it's like, we're just going to bend, not break. And we're just going to place, nothing gets behind us. And it's just like 13 play drives for a field goal. I don't know. It was like nice to see us just be aggressive and play hard and tough and fast. Most games, not all games, because there were some games where it's like, what's going on? What happened? This is a totally different team, defense unit. There's some people saying Wink Martindale tough to work with, and Brian Daboll tough to work with. And then the two of them, they butt heads and clash. Two strong, outspoken personalities. Wink Martindale throwing Xavier McKinney on the bus. At the time, it was like, oh, yeah, because McKinney said some bullshit to the media. And at the time, I thought he was not playing well. I mean, I went off on why he needs to get off the team and that we should trade him. I can't believe he wasn't traded because that was just the optics from where I was sitting. And then he finished the season pretty goddamn strong. It looks like he was back to his old self. So now it looks like I think his market value is like $10 million a year. So that's going to be an interesting decision. I'm leaning towards bringing him back. The fact that he was able to play every snap this year was one of two players on the team, Bobby Okereke being the other. I was wrong of just about, a lot of guys, a lot of players. Bobby Okereke, I was wrong. Kayvon Thibodeau was wrong. Xavier McKinney, I was wrong. Adoree Jackson, I still firmly hold on to that belief. Like, I guess he wants to be back, but it's like, I don't know, dude. I just can't. I don't know that I can justify that. What the guy, I mean, he made $13 million. He's going to make $11 million. Pass. I don't know. I think he wants to come back, but I just can't justify it. But then again, it's like, who else are we going to start? I mean, Trey Hawkins, we're not going to start him. So we'd have to draft someone or sign someone in free agency. And, I don't know who you pick there, but so Wink Martindale resigns. I guess he was expecting to get fired. And then when he didn't get fired, that's when and then his boys got fired. That's when he resigned. So, and now I think people are changing their minds, or at least not as high on Wink Martindale as they were, considering what he was doing behind the scenes, I guess. So who are the candidates to replace Wink Martindale as defensive coordinator? I was against, so just to put a bow on it, I was against firing Wink Martindale. I know there were some fans that were like, but look at where our defense is ranked. We were ranked in the bottom, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's because we had 3 to 4 really atrocious games. But then again, the games that we had that played really well, with the exception of Buffalo, it's like you're going against some really subpar quarterbacks. So my reasoning for keeping him was mostly about consistency and the fact that the players like him. I think that was huge for me. And I just don't want to see this aggressive style defense go away. I want to continue to blitz, and make some we confuse Matthew Stafford. That's a good quarterback that the defense played well against. Jordan Love, who struggled early on, but then got hot. And I mean, the dude threw 32 touchdowns he threw this year. Holy fuck. So yeah, we played well against Jordan Love. So there were a couple quarterbacks here and there. And I guess you could say Jalen Hurts. There were a couple good quarterbacks here and there where we played really well against. And there were like 3 or 4 games where we just absolutely, completely shit the bed. And I'm convinced that's why our rankings are so low, because it just doesn't feel like the defense is that bad. But so what sucks about him leaving is like now you got a whole unit that lost their guy. And now we're going to have a new defensive coordinator come in. They're going to have to learn a new system. And that system might not be so blitz heavy. Blarf. So here are the candidates that have been pitched, or I guess proposed as replacements for Wink. You have 2 in-house candidates, Jerome Henderson, the DB's coach, and the Andre Patterson, the D-line coach. Both of those, their groups or units have performed well to above average. Leslie Frazier, former Bills defensive coordinator, who had his issues with Sean McDermott, but not necessarily Brian Daboll. So maybe Frazier is back in the mix. Eric Washington, Bills assistant head coach, D-line coach. Anthony Weaver, Ravens assistant head coach and D-line coach. Ejiro Evero, Panthers defensive coordinator. So I don't know that any of those really, other than Leslie Frazier is kind of like the brand name among those. In reading the write-up on Anthony Weaver and Ejiro Evero and even Eric Washington, it was pretty glowing. So if those 3 are in the mix and we go with one of those, like, just think about that Bills defense. Think about that Ravens defense. Panthers defense, maybe not so much, although you look at how they played down the stretch or over the course of the season, and like the defense kept them in a lot of games. This is our offense blows.